In some cases, when your businesses have physical assets that you manage, you would want to manage all of these things in a system, and we have already that for you on 390 Work. So we want to help you to keep track of your equipment, your tool, and property with structure. And what are assets? Assets are the tools you use to run your business. They are the tangible things, but they are not for sale. They are only there to support operations. Examples of this can be your machinery, your vehicles, and your office equipment, and etc. Okay, so why do we want to track assets? We generally believe that whatever you do not track, you would lose, and that makes sense. In this case, we want to prevent theft, know who is responsible for what assets, and we want to most especially track the repairs, maintenance, and depreciation of these assets. All right, let's quickly jump into 390 Work and see how assets can be added. Assets can be found under resources down here, assets here. If you don't have access to this, just go to the App Store and search rather for assets, and that would be here. Then you can definitely give access to wherever in your organization you want to give access to the assets feature. All right. And once you do that, you can save, and that would be done. All right. So going back to assets, the same thing. If you need information about this step by step, you can click on this help and to take you to the assets document for you to be able to follow us step by step. Then assets also have, same as the other offerings, products and services, they also have units, categories, and statuses. Most especially here are the statuses. And if you see that, we've already defined some of the statuses of your assets for you, and they are available with the color green, unavailable with the color gray, under repair, and we have the spoiled or in transit, so you can definitely know where your assets are at different points in time. So if you have somebody in your organization that manages all of your assets, these statuses would come in really handy, and categories of these assets can also be defined. In some cases, some people might call it fixed assets. Some people, their assets might be laptops and, or let me just say gadgets. In this case, your laptops can be under that or etc. Then your units most likely pieces, or if it is some items that can be kg and stuff, you can define all of them here as well, depending on what kinds of assets you have in your organization. Most Nigerian businesses do not track assets, so this is just going to be a very simplistic breakdown of assets so that we can use that to just start the entire education on using assets. So let's say, for example, we have a MacBook Pro, or let me not use a MacBook Pro so we don't confuse it to a product. Let me just say a table, or rather a generator. Yeah, let's say a generator. And you can put a description of the generator here, maybe when you bought it and etc. The category of this assets based on what we defined, whether it is a fixed one or gadgets. So let's say this is a gadget, for example, or you could choose not to give it a category as well. Then estimated cost of this generator as well, you could put it here. So let's say you bought the generator for 4.5 million naira. You could just have that there. Then measurements can be in pieces. If you have the image of the assets, you could definitely then include that there. And if there are other assets, just click the add another so that the pop-up will stay on when you're adding the assets. So once I'm done, I'll just click the add assets button like this, and that would go on to create the asset for us. So now the asset has been created, and the most important thing here for the assets, most important which we'll be talking on here, would be the maintenance log. So what does this mean? Predominantly for now, what we just want to make sure is that we want to track when the maintenance of such assets would happen. So it means, let's say there's a new maintenance that's going to happen on, let's say, the 30th of this month. And maybe the cost of that maintenance typically is, let's say, 300,000, for example. You could just include that. Then asset location as well. Would also be able to define where these assets locations are in a jiffy. Then next maintenance date can be, let's say, could be a couple of months from now. Let's say 30th of November. Then maybe that's all. for now, then we could just log the maintenance. So what this just means is we just want to keep an actual record of the last time that asset was maintained. And if I do log maintenance, we can have that option automatically added for us here. So this is in the bare bone how assets on 390 work. It's nothing right now. It's in the first version, version 1, because like I said, most businesses do not even track assets, and we are just trying to make sure that let's even first of all have a mechanism for all of the assets in a business to be listed and tracked. And the other things that we know that we're still going to bring in the additional things will be assigning these assets to someone and being able to then update the whether the categories of these assets, because it's meant to show here so you can see all of those. And that should be coming on the version 2 of this particular module in the shortest time possible. All right. When we are dealing with inventory, we'll be able to add this asset also to create inventory location for these assets so that you can know the cost of these assets in the different inventory locations. So when we're dealing with inventory, we'll come back to this asset feature. You can just jump to the inventory location as well to be able to see how that works. All right, so that's all in assets, and we'll be moving on to the next video.